Rina Abu Jarade is a Palestinian Jordanian artist who has spent the last 10 years using different art mediums in order to tell the story of Palestine and the Middle East through murals and videos that combine poetry and art. She has presented her work in over 10 countries and is the winner of several international awards, including the PYM's Ghassan Kanafani Resistance Arts Scholarship. She won first place in 2019 and will be a member of the judging panel for the 2020 Ghassan Kanafani Resistance Arts Scholarship.
So Suzanne, I'm sure you can relate to this, but I always find it interesting when this type of discussion comes up of how cultural production is considered a great addition to Palestinian forms of resistance. But when we think of the definition of culture being the sum of human invention, culture is not only necessary, but it's inevitable. And I've read that Kanafani strongly believed that cultural expression is as important a form of resistance as armed struggle. And I think the reason that is because although we're scattered in different geographical locations and we're living different experiences. So when you think of Palestinians in the West Bank versus Gaza, versus Palestinians living in occupied 1948 lands, versus all of us all over the world, what cultural expression does is it provides an affirmation of our collective political identity. And that's so important because in cases of colonialism, we have, this more powerful side trying to rewrite and control the narrative of the occupied. And when it comes to the Zionist project, no doubt one of its biggest goals is to, destroy or to hijack Palestinian culture. And despite, the massive amount of resources that have been allocated for this purpose, in my opinion, they are failing. They have failed and are continuing to fail. And we owe that to decades of work by artists and writers who built the independent Palestinian characteristics that we associate with Palestinian culture. So when you think of all of these symbols that are included in my artwork and Suzanne, your work, that are globally accepted to present the Palestinian cause, like the olive tree, the cactus plant, the kufiyeh, despite efforts to steal and undermine these symbols, we continue to reclaim them and it's kind of become a brand to our cause. And the reason why this is specifically important to Palestinians in the diaspora is because, we might have never entered Palestine. So I'm a third generation Palestinian and I've never entered foot in Palestine. And in fact, the first time I actually associated myself as a Palestinian was in the 9th grade when I saw a painting by the great Ismail Shammout. And the first novel I read was actually Mornings in Jenin. So that's the brilliant thing is we have a generation of Palestinians in the diaspora inspiring another generation of Palestinians also in the diaspora. So for me, it's a matter of keeping the Palestinian narrative for the right of return alive.